Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Manya and you have arrived at Living Simply with Manya. Now today I want to talk about where this channel is going. So if you are new here, I just finished a 3-part series called I'm Back. I took about a 1.5 year break from YouTube and now I'm back, but everything has changed in my life and everything is different. And so parts 1, 2, and 3, I talked about sort of what happened, how I got to where I was. Part 2 was why I took a 1.5 year break. And part 3 was the future of my life. So now we've arrived at the new focus. And the reason I want to cover this is because a lot of you have been with me since the beginning. And when I started this channel in November or December of 2020, this was really a weight loss channel, and it was specifically about Weight Watchers, or WW. I'd been on WW for about 6 months, very successfully, and it was the middle of the pandemic and I needed a hobby, and so I turned on the camera and I started talking to you all. And it was really focused around weight loss, what I eat in a day, all of those types of things. It became more personal than that, and I started talking about my life in general, but I am no longer losing weight and I'm no longer on WW. And in a future video, I'm going to talk about where I am with my eating, my exercise. Everything has changed for me and I have a totally different focus on health than I did when all I wanted to do was lose weight. So here's where this channel is going, and I put this out there because I hope that those of you who have been with me since the WW times, will decide to stay, but if not, I completely understand because, again, this will not be about weight loss and it will not be about Weight Watchers. So if you watched part 3, you know that I am moving to Japan with my brand new husband. Seriously, brand new. We celebrated our week anniversary yesterday. We are moving to Japan for his work. He's accepted a 2-year rotation. He works for a defense contractor, and we're moving to a town called Nagoya. Probably shouldn't say town, 10 million people live there. We're moving to a major metropolitan area in Japan called Nagoya. It's about 3.5 hours south of Tokyo. So as I thought about coming back, and I thought about, well, I'm not going to do weight loss and I'm not going to do WW anymore, what I have been thinking about a lot in the past 6 months, ever since he asked me if I wanted to move to Japan, is why? Why am I doing this? I'm 47 years old. I've never had children. My 20-year relationship ended a 1.5 years ago, and I have found new love and a new life. I've always been a restless person. I've always thought that I was, like so many kids, it's almost embarrassing to say this, destined for something greater. I don't know exactly what that is, but I've always spent my life trying to figure out the thing that I could do next. Not necessarily for fame or glory or money, but just more to keep myself interested and occupied. I have a need to be busy a lot of the time. I'm not very good at living in the moment. I'm always thinking about the future. And like I said, I'm restless. What I'm not good at is something that many of you are very good at, which is staying in one place for an extended period of time. And I'm very aware that kids change everything. And because I never had kids, I don't get that grounding that those of you with kids get, right? That obligation to stay in one place. Now, that's not true for everyone. I certainly watch enough YouTube to know that there are families that travel with children. But for the most part, especially here in Texas, I have met a lot of people who were born here, spent their whole lives here, are raising their children here, taking care of their parents, maybe even living in the house that they grew up in. And I think there's a lot to that seems really beautiful to me, right? It's a deep sense of place, connection. You know everyone to their core, and they know you to your core. I can see how that would be deeply satisfying to live your entire life in one place. That said, that does not appear to be for me. I start to get restless after a couple of years and want to move on. And I lasted a lot longer here than I have in most places. I'm at 5.5 years. I would say I went 4 years before I started to get restless. And I've always used a job to move on, find a job somewhere else, move to a new city, start over. I love the challenge. And I love the depth of moving somewhere and living there and getting to know the people, the places, figuring it out, feeling stupid, making mistakes, that sort of thing. On the flip side, I'm not a very good traveler. I'm not a very good vacationer. I feel like Americans vacation in a way that I just find super exhausting. I think because we get so little vacation time, we pack in so much into each of our vacations. So you go for a week's trip to Europe and you're in a different country every day or whatever. And I've never been good at that. And so I tend to limit my travel. I like to move. And so a lot of really important points are being hit here for me with the move to Japan. The first being, it's getting me out of a situation where nothing's wrong. I'm just bored and ready to move on. I'm ready for some adventure. It offers me an opportunity to have a home base for an extended period of time, at least 2 years, so I can have a home, an apartment, I can have my stuff, I can be grounded, and yet at the same time, I'll be on the other side of the world, so everything's gonna seem very foreign and confusing and difficult and exhilarating. I don't speak the language, but I am gonna learn as much as I can, and then we can travel from there. So what might seem really intimidating to go to Australia, for example, 20-hour flight from the United States is much, much closer to Japan and seems a lot more attainable. So this idea that we live there and then we can travel to South Korea or Indonesia or New Zealand, all of those places that seem so very far away when you're talking about a 2-week vacation every year. But at the end of the day, everything comes down to the fact that my life exploded a 1.5 years ago when my marriage ended. And if you haven't heard this, in July of 2021, I went to work married and I came home and he ended it. And there was no warning. We were not in therapy. We're not having conversations. We were going through what I thought was a rough patch, which if you've been married a long time, you go through those. So I didn't think much of it other than it was a little hard. And it ended overnight, literally overnight. And so I've had to rebuild my life. And there's nothing like rebuilding your life to make you think about what's important. And I think that I had, it's so cliche to say you only have one life to live. But man, did I feel it in that moment. And I spent a long time afterwards thinking about all the things that I didn't do because of his insecurities about things or his not wanting to go to a certain place. And so we just ended up going to the same places over and over again. My inability, and I'm not blaming him, this is on me, my inability to push, to say, I want to do this. I didn't do that partly because I didn't want conflict. So then what am I doing here? I am sacrificing my own needs and my own desires for what? For something that could end overnight. That was the hardest lesson, that I had committed so strongly to something that I thought was for the rest of my life, happy or not, and that's a whole different conversation, content or not, that's something that that's a different conversation. But this idea that I really hadn't been living. I'd been succeeding. I'd been very much succeeding in my career and in my life. I looked successful from the outside, but I had this lust to try things, and I didn't push that. So if you watched part 3, you know that my husband Danny texted me a few months ago and said, "Do you want to move to Japan?" And I texted back, yes, immediately. Now, of course, since then, it's been exhilarating and stressful, and there's been a lot to think about. But I'm 47 years old, and for the first time in my life, I'm being given an opportunity to step off the train and to figure out what's next. What is it that I want to do? I'm not going to retire for 20 years. If I stay here, I'm just on that train, just going for the next job, the next promotion, just doing the things that are expected of me. This may be the first time in my life I'm not doing the things that are expected of me. I'm doing the thing that when I tell people, they are shocked. They are shocked. So this channel is going to be about that. There's going to be videos of life in Japan. I want to show you what it's like to plan a 2-year stint in a foreign country. I'm stockpiling things. I want to show you what I'm planning to bring, and then later talk about, I didn't need that. Japan had all of those things. I want to show you what it's like to live there, to walk the streets, to take the train. And then I want to take you on my journey of figuring out where I'm going to go from here. What am I going to do? Am I going to come back to the US and slip right back into what I'm doing now? Maybe. But man, what an opportunity I'm being given. And I want to talk to those of you who think about this kind of thing, who think about, could I change my life? And I want to show you what it's like. And there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, and we'll go through them together. And I want to have this experience with you and this relationship with you. So if that interests you, stick around, click subscribe, like this video. Let me know in the comments below if that's what you're interested in, and we'll figure this out together. In the meantime, have a wonderful day. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.